for Coach.
Frank, you've had a day to watch the film, obviously. What have you seen that's encouraging that you are trending towards it?
There's plenty of good, excuse me, there's plenty of good things on tape in all three phases. The thing that we're looking for is more consistency. We talked about in meetings today, there's two ways to get better, and that's, the skills and the plays that you make, just continue to make those and be more consistent at those, but then also just reducing mistakes, coaching and playing, finding ways to eliminate mistakes that we make that are kind of pulling us in the opposite direction.
Was there some difficulty with the communication between you and Bryce? There seemed to be, and Miles mentioned it, maybe rushing to get the play out. And
there was once or twice, there was a couple times, I don't know how many. There was one time that we had a play called, that we had to switch personnel late. Other than that, I think it was pretty normal most of the time, So, listen, it's they do a lot of blitz zero, so some of our calls had some double calls in them, some kills, maybe a few more than normal because of having to be prepared for their blitz zero. So we had built into a lot of the calls, two calls, one if it's the blitz, one if it's not the blitz. And so, we probably had a few more of those than normal, but that would be normal for playing a team like what we played with as much as they blitz.
Frank, a couple questions about that last play of the first quarter where there's a false start on Terrace and their linebacker Hicks comes through and puts Bryce in the ground. Number one, did you think that should have been a penalty?
I thought usually what we talk to Bryce about is, and this is now that this has happened to him once, when when you catch a ball and a play is blown dead, you should immediately throw the ball down so that the defense knows it's not live. The explanation that the official gave me was there was some ambiguity in it. It wasn't super flagrant. So really, the answer for us is to learn by that. When you have the ball and it's a dead ball and you're the quarterback, just throw it in the ground.
And following up on that, would you have preferred to see a more aggressive response from your guys to kind of surround Bryce? Or
I'm not sure anybody saw what happened. You know what I mean? I'm not sure anybody really saw what happened. So, listen, there's no doubt in my mind that our guys are going to protect each other. So, I think looking at it today, I don't think it was in that mode. I really don't think it was in that mode. Looking at it on tape.
what do you mean not in that mode?
I didn't sense it was overly flagrant.
Frank, one of the things that you referenced after the game, and Miles also mentioned, was really operating faster, literal urgency. What's your read on where that stands right now and what you want to see?
I think as a whole it's gotten better in every game. I think it's gotten better in every game. I think it'll continue to get better. Is our operation offensively at the speed that we want it to be at? Not yet. It's not there yet. It's there. There's plenty of times where it's good, but we just want it to be really good all the time.
Do you have a sense of some of the little things that help you to speed it up in that respect?
A little bit of it's, yeah, I do. A little bit of it's going to be, week to week. By, again, this week with facing all the potential blitz zero that they were going to run, some of the play calls were a little bit longer to have to guard against that. Because the reason for that is if you say, well, why don't you just call one play and then just check out if it's zero, because they were really good at if you're running a play and then they get in zero and then the quarterback checks out, then they check. So you don't want to get into this we check, they check thing. So our operation is not where it needs to be, but it's getting better.
Frank, you've been talking before the season about how the tight ends could be a big role here and kind of security blanket for Bryce a little bit, but it seems like since the opening game it hadn't been there as much. Why has that kind of sort of disappeared from the game?
I just think in general, the offense, we haven't been as productive as we want to be at this, 4 games into it. So, we'll just have to, we'll continue to see how that plays out. I have confidence in our tight ends. I believe Bryce has confidence in our tight ends, and so I would just think as the season goes on, I would expect to see they're going to have their games where the tight ends were a big part of it, and then other games where they weren't. So, yeah, there's certainly, that's how I would see that playing out.
And that and having a strong running game were some of the things you wanted to have to take the pressure off Bryce, so he didn't have to carry a load early.
Yeah.
And the running game hadn't been there. I mean, has it just kind of been a perfect storm of things that not going right for you guys to give him a chance to succeed, or?
We certainly need to get more out of the run game, and that absolutely does take pressure off any quarterback, certainly a young quarterback. Our run game has really only been good in one game, and that was the first game. And we've had 3 games where we've really been inefficient in the run game. We had more carries this past yesterday, but we really didn't have the efficiency and the productivity. Besides that first drive, the first drive was pretty good, and then after that we just kind of struggled. So we got to find ways to get better there.
Frank, someone who might help you in that run game, Austin Corbett's eligible to come off the pup. Do you envision activating him?
And looking forward to seeing him back out on the practice field, soon. So I would anticipate that as soon as we think he's ready to get out there and practicing with us, he'll be out there. And then, we have talked about the timeline to get him on the field for a game, and not ready to talk about that just yet.
What about the timeline for practice?
It could be soon. It could be really soon.
At the end of the first half, there's may have been an opportunity for you to take a timeout, maybe gather the team together. What was the philosophy about holding on to that one?
No philosophy. We had a play with 34 seconds to go, and we completed a pass. And there's 2 options at that point: either call timeout or go to the line fast and throw a ball to get the ball out of bounds. And I chose to call the play to go to the line of scrimmage. And in hindsight, I should have called timeout. That was my mistake. Fortunately, Eddie bailed me out and made the long field goal. Had I called timeout, we probably would have maybe been able to get a little bit closer on the field goal, give us a better chance. But that was just my mistake. I should have called timeout.
What went into the decision to not make Dion Jones active, and with how much they ended up running the ball, would he have helped you?
So that decision was a tough decision, but it was based on a particular scheme in front that we were going to play. There was a lot of single linebacker stuff that we were going to do. So a lot of more five man on the line, some stuff we were going to do. And, and then play the shell coverage, try to eliminate the big play defensively in the pass game, which I really think by and large we did. They had the one DPI. That was a big play, and then they had the other one where we jump off sides and they got the free play. But those were the 2 big plays they had in the pass game, which is less than average in the NFL. So on the flip side of that, they had a few more runs hit than we are comfortable with, but we knew we were going to give up a little bit in that regard. I think all in all, how that played out was not bad defensively. I think there were some things we did defensively in that game that were solid.
Because Bryce, statistically, he's improved a little bit each game. Completion percentage, yards, little things, baby steps, I guess. But what's the area he needs to take that next big step for you guys, you think?
It's really more of a step for us offensively, more chunk plays. Now, this was a game that was unique. I mentioned it after the game that, it's blitz zero. It's a lot of, you got to get it out quick because they're pressuring. It's the same formula that the Chargers had the week before. They just did a better job at it than us. So, but as an offense, we got to get the chunk plays in, and then, we just got to get the whole operation better, and that's on all of us. That's not just on Bryce. He is the quarterback, so it runs through him. But eliminating the mistakes, the pre-snap penalties, these situations where we're putting ourselves behind the sticks, or we're down in the red zone twice. We got a first, we're winning 7-0. We're first and goal at the 3. Got a chance to go up by 14. We're 13-7, and we hit the screen pass to LaVisca, we could be first and goal at the 8, and we got an offensive lineman downfield. And so those are the kind of things that we got to eliminate that will not only help Bryce, but that'll help our whole team.
He did get the ball out significantly faster this game, according to the numbers I saw. And how difficult is that for you to get a rookie to be able to do that from week to week?
It normally is, but not with him. I mean, he's brilliant at that and really good at it. And yeah, I mean, it was completed a high percentage. You know, a lot of them were short passes, but like I said, that was by design. You know, we knew that was going to be the case. I knew that was, you know, I could have predicted that would be a question. You know,
Yeah.
After the game, a lot of short passes. Yeah, that's what we wanted to do. What we didn't get done was we envisioned a couple more plays that we had against Blitz Zero hitting big, or a couple more catch and run plays that hit big, and we didn't get that done. That's coaches and players. Somehow that just didn't get done. We didn't coach it well enough. We didn't execute it well enough to make them pay on a couple of those blitzes.
You
Frank, how do you
mentioned,
keep this locker room cohesive? Because, you know, the defense, even though they've taken hits with injuries as well, they still stepped up. They had a huge game yesterday, and yesterday after the game was like really the first game we saw them kind of feel a little bit like, yeah, we can't get anywhere with how we play. How do you keep those two groups cohesive?
I mean, I think I said yesterday that it really is down to the leadership of the locker room. You know, as a head coach, you certainly have a big responsibility for that, and how the team is preparing and the messaging and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's not a one-man job. It's the leadership of the locker room, and how important is it to them to stick together. We talk a lot about our identity in a lot of different ways internally. So I have a lot of confidence that no matter whether we win every game or lose every game, you know, this team and the players that are here, you know how to handle themselves, and which is why I believe good things are ahead. Why I believe these things that, you know, these 4 games that are, you know, we're in every game in the fourth quarter. Why I think, you know, like I said yesterday, in one respect we're this close, and in others, you know, in other respects we're making too many mistakes to even say that. But when we get those things corrected, I believe it can get the results that we want now. This doesn't have to be wait for results. We can get those results now.
Frank, you
And
mentioned,
we'll do a couple more. We'll do Joe, and we'll do batch time.
you mentioned the red zone. How, and to this point, you guys have shown an unwillingness to use Bryce as a runner, really anywhere, but how much is that hindering the red zone productivity?
You know, when you use your quarterback as a runner in the red zone, it does add a certain element to it, as you know. But you don't need that to be dynamic in the red zone. And if you got a guy who's not a runner in the red zone, it means he's super dynamic in other ways. Getting the ball out quickly with accuracy, getting it in small windows, being able to create in other ways. And I think Bryce has all those qualities.
Yeah, and just a quick follow-up, but as the Lions week is here, what have you seen from their offense the last couple of years with what Ben Johnson has done?
He's done a great job. They mix it well, they run it well, good play action game, good vertical pass game down the field, off the play action game, you know, which all stems off of an ability to run the football.
Kind of piggybacking off of Grace's question, she asked about the locker room, but I'm going to ask you about the fans who have become a bit discouraged with the 0-4 start. What's your message to them to kind of keep them involved in this process?
You know, we understand. We understand the discouragement, but the message is, you know, I mean, keep the faith. I mean, this is, you know, we are turning over every stone, making every effort to get results now. You know, we know that's what the fans want. That's what we want. That's what Mr. Tepper wants. So I believe there's been encouraging things. I believe we are a young team that is developing and growing. Even though we're here to win now, we are growing and developing, and that doesn't have to wait a year. We can grow in season. And we have, you know, new staff, a lot of turnover in the roster, so maybe more of an opportunity for us to meld and mesh together as the season goes on. So looking forward to that. And we know it's our responsibility to give the fans something to cheer about. And so we look forward to doing that.
Do you think, is Marquise, I know he's eligible to come back, do you expect him back this week?
Not ready to make a report on him just yet. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep, thank you.